Hello everyone, I hope you're having a fantastic day. This video is for Module 6, Managing Multiple Worksheets and Workbooks. Module 6, Managing Multiple Worksheets and Workbooks. Found on page EX381. I will be completing the review assignment. Again, found on page EX381. This review assignment is going to be requiring multiple data files, so you might want to create a folder on your desktop with all the files that you're going to need to complete this review assignment. They are listed there on page EX381. Midland.xlsx, new ucmemo.docx, new uc.xlsx, jacksonmi.xlsx, Petoskey, I guess I'm saying that right, mi.xlsx, and finally flintmi.xlsx. So a couple of different files here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 files. So make sure they're all readily available because we will be using each and every one for this particular review assignment. So pause this if you need to. I've already got all mine saved into a folder on my desktop. So then you can restart this as soon as you get all of those files ready. So I'm going to continue on with reading the paragraph on page 381. Reveries, I guess that's how we're going to say that. Urban Centers opened a new rental center in Midland, Michigan on January 1st, 2017. Michael Verhalen, the manager of the Midland Rental Center, collected the year's rental income in a workbook provided by Timothy Root at the central office. Before Michael can send the completed workbook to Timothy for the year-end reporting, he needs you to summarize the results and format the worksheets. Complete the following. Step 1 wants me to open the Midland workbook. So of all the files that we've downloaded, the one we're going to start off with is Midland. Okay. Now I'm going to close my folder. There we go. And enable editing just to kind of get things ready here. Okay. Should be ready to go. All right. Step 1 was to open the Midland workbook. Step 2. In the documentation worksheet, enter your name and the date, and then review the worksheets in the workbook. So in B3, I'm going to type in Steve Whiteman. And in B4, I'm going to type 06/26/2019. Now, I'm also going to notice that we have 4 other individual worksheets down here, named Quarter 1, Quarter 2, Quarter 3, Quarter 4. If you click in them, there looks like there's some data. For Quarter 1, it's January through March. Quarter 2, it's April through June. And you get the idea. Each one has its own 3 months. The labels are all the same in A6 through A11. Okay. All right. So just get an idea of what we're working with here. Step 3. Create a worksheet group that contains the Quarter 1 through Quarter 4 worksheets. If I click on Quarter 1 to make that the active worksheet, hold down my Shift key on my keyboard and then click on Quarter 4, I have created the worksheet group that they're referring to. If you look all the way up at the top next to your file name now, it says -group to let you know that you have this turned on. Plus, all the worksheets have turned to a shade of white. This means that whatever I do to one of them, it will automatically appear on the other 3 as well. So instead of having to worry about copying and pasting and all of that, it will actually create it on all 4 worksheets at the same time. Step 4. In the worksheet group, in the range B12 to D12, enter formulas that sum the values in each column. So if I click in B12 and I use my auto sum key, it will suggest that it's going to give me the sum of B6 to B11, and I'm going to go ahead and click enter to accept that. This is nothing more different than what we've done in previous chapters. That's why I'm going a little bit faster through this, but we're simply summing the numbers in column B for the range B6 to B11. Then they want that to be the case for C12 and D12 as well. So I'm going to use my fill handle, that little square in the bottom right-hand corner of cell B12. I'm going to click and drag across in order to copy my formulas. Now, if you would rather do the auto sum in each one individually instead of worrying about copying it over, that's acceptable as well. Okay. So step 4, in the worksheet group in the range B12 to D12, enter formulas that sum the values in each column. And then in the range E6 to E12, enter formulas that sum the values in each row. Same idea. I go to E6, I hit my auto sum key. It says it's going to sum it from B6 to D6. That's fine. I click on cell E6, use that little fill handle, and drag down to E12. And it copies my formula down respectively. Now again, if you feel more comfortable doing the auto sum on each and every one of those cells, it might take you a little bit longer, but it is doable. Okay, that's step 4. Step 5, format the quarterly worksheets as specified below. Again, they're still grouped, so whatever I do on one, it's going to do it to all of them. So far, so good. 5A, in cell E5, enter the label totals. So I'm going to type totals in E5 and also A12. And that's step 5A. 5B, increase the indent of cell A12 by 1. So I click on A12. Up on my home ribbon, I have decrease indent, increase indent. I'm going to click the increase indent one time because that's what it says, by 1. And as you can see, it indents it just a little bit in cell A12. Step 5C, in the range A2 to A3, so I'm going to highlight A2 to A3. They want me to bold it. So I click the B for bold on my home ribbon. They also want A6 to A12 to be bolded. So I select that range, hit the B for bold. And also B5 to E5. I select that range and click B for bold. That is step number 5C. 5D. Merge and center the range A1 to E1. So I select A1 to E1, and then I click the Merge and Center button on my home ribbon. Merge and Center. And then it says to do that for A2 to E2 as well. So I select A2 to E2, and I click Merge and Center. Okay, that is step 5D. 5E. In the range B5 to E5, center the text. So I select B5 to E5, and I click the center right there on my alignment tab. Okay. That was E. Step 5F. Add a bottom border to the range B5 to E5. So I already have it selected, but just in case, B5 to E5. I go to my borders, also on my home ribbon, drop the arrow down, and I'm going to select bottom border. They also want me to do this for B11 to E11. So I select B11 to E11, drop the arrow down, bottom border. Okay. G. Boy, we're moving right along here. 5G. Format the range B6 to D6. B6 to D6 with accounting, that's the $sign up here, style, and no decimal places. So I have to reduce the decimal places by 2. 1, 2. Do the same thing for the range B12 to D12. Accounting, 0 decimal places. And also for E6 to E12. Accounting, no decimal places. Okay. Step 5H, format the range B7 to E11 with the comma style and no decimal places. That was step 5H. Okay, so what we did actually took place on every single worksheet that is grouped down here. Now to step 6 says to ungroup the worksheets. So if I right click on any one of these down here, I can do ungroup sheets and no longer are they grouped. And that's important to turn that off because sometimes people will forget to turn that off and what they meant to do on one worksheet all of a sudden shows up on all of them. So you have to make sure you turn it off when you're all done. So step 6 tells me to turn it off. Make a copy of the quarter 1 worksheet. So if I right click on quarter 1, I can go to move or copy. And I definitely want to check the box that says create a copy because they say copy of the quarter 1 worksheet. Rename it as summary and then place it after the documentation worksheet. Well, I'm going to take care of that right now. I'm going to say put it before quarter 1, which means that it will be after the documentation worksheet. I click OK. There it is right there now. I'm going to double click because they want me to rename it summary. So I double click and I type summary on it and hit enter. That was step number 6. Step number 7, in the summary worksheet, so make sure you're on that worksheet, make the following changes. In cell A2, change the heading to Midland Total. So I click at the end of Midland, hit my space bar, and add the word total. That was step 7A. 7B, change cell A3 to, we're going to type right over that, we're going to replace it with fiscal year -2017 and hit enter. That's 7B. 7C, insert a column between columns B and C. It will always insert the column to the left. So I want to be on C to do this. So I'm going to right click on top of column C and choose insert. And I now have a column in between B and what was C. Okay, so that was 7C. 7D, in the range B5 to E5, change the headings to quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, and quarter 4 respectively. So if I go to B5 and I type in quarter space 1, if I use my fill handle, I click on B5 and use that fill handle in the bottom right hand corner, I can click and drag over to E5 and it will continue to do my quarters and increment them by 1 automatically. Now again, if you don't like doing that, you can just manually type those in, which might take a little bit more effort, but it still gets it accomplished. So that was 7D. 7E, make sure that the text in the range B5 to F5 is centered. So I highlight it and use my center button, which it was already centered, so I want to make sure I click on it again to make sure it's centered. Okay. Clear the contents of the range B6. I'm on step 7F. Clear the contents of the range B6 to F11. B6 to F11. Yes, F11. So highlight it, hit your delete key on your keyboard. Okay, step 8. Complete the formulas in the summary worksheet as follows, using the fill without formatting paste option so that you keep the bottom border on the range B11 to C11. In the range B6 to E11, create formulas that reference cells in other worksheets to display the quarterly totals for the rental income by type. For example, the formula in cell B6 will reference cell E6 in the quarter 1 worksheet. So I go equals quarter 1. After you type equals, Excel does not care where you go next. So the fact that I'm going to a different worksheet is fine. But I have to type the equals. I go to quarter 1 and I click on E6, the total for quarter 1 for Child Care Center, and I hit enter. Okay? For quarter 2, I can go equals quarter 2 E6, hit enter. You're getting the idea here. Quarter 3 equals quarter 3 E6, hit enter. And quarter 4 equals, click on quarter 4 E6. Now what's nice about this is I can highlight these and use my fill handle to drag down, and I will get all the totals for the other music practice, medical centers, etc. Okay? So that was step number, what was that? That was step number 8A. 8B. In the range F6 to F11, create formulas that use 3D cell references to calculate the total for each type of rental income. 3D cell references. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do equals, again, to tell Excel that I'm doing a calculation. Okay. I'm going to click on quarter 1, and I'm going to click on, gosh, I don't know what I'm going to click on. Let me start over here. Let me read this. In the range F6 to F11, create formulas that use 3D cell references to calculate the total for each type of rental income. So I want a total for all of the 4 quarters. So that should be, let me see. I probably need to do this. Equals, click on quarter 1, my total for Child Care Centers, plus quarter 2, quarter cell, plus quarter 3, click on E6, plus quarter 4, click on E6. So let me try to do that again for you. So you do equals to tell Excel you're doing a calculation. It doesn't care where you click next. I'm going to add 4 cells from 4 completely different worksheets. So after typing equals, I'm going to click on quarter 1, click on E6. I'm going to hit my plus sign. I'm going to click on quarter 2, E6. Hit my plus sign. Click on quarter 3, E6, plus quarter 4, E6, and hit enter. Okay? Now I can also copy that down, and I have all of my totals for the different. Does that work? Yes, it does. Okay. C. Copy the formula from cell B12 to cell C12. So I'm going to use my fill handle, copy that over, and we now have a complete worksheet there. All right. Step 9. Change the March rental income for medical centers. March rental income for medical centers. So let's go to quarter 1. There's March. We're looking for medical centers right there to 1976. And then verify that the total rental income for medical centers in quarter one in the summary worksheet is 5214. 5214. As you can see, everything is linked. The total rental income for quarter one is 19,538. There it is down there. Everything changed automatically. The total rental income for medical centers in 2017 is 22,186. There that is. And the total rental income for 2017 is 82,286. Everything changed automatically. That's the beauty of linking worksheets. This is also referred to as linking worksheets. You change a number in one worksheet and it automatically changes it in another. That is a beautiful thing. Okay, step 10. Group the quarter one and quarter four worksheets. So I'm going to select quarter one, hold down my shift key, and click on quarter four. Group the quarter one through quarter four worksheets and then enter a formula in cell A4 that references cell A3 in the summary worksheet. So I do equals, I go to the summary worksheet, and I click on A3 and I hit enter. And that will link it to that cell. Equals, remember the key thing is equals, and Excel doesn't care where you click next. It could be a different worksheet, and as we're going to learn, it could be even a different Excel workbook. Okay, I'm on the next page, EX382, step 11. In cell A8 of the documentation worksheet, so I go to the documentation worksheet, cell A8. Insert a hyperlink that points to the new UC memo located in wherever you saved it on your desktop or in a special folder. So here's how we're going to do that. I'm on A8. I'm going to go to Insert, and I'm going to go to Link, and Insert Link. I'm going to tell it to look for that folder, so you can look in whatever folder you might have saved it in, or go to your desktop. Mine is right here. I'm going to go to, let's see, it wants new UC memo. So let me find that. There it is, new UC memo, located in my folder. Make sure the text to display, which is up at the top, text to display, right there, is click here to read Midland Executive Memo. Okay, I'm going to click OK, and we now have a hyperlink here that if they click on it, it will actually open up that Word document and that memo. Step 12 says edit the hyperlink that we just created and use a thing called a screen tip. So if I right click on you can't left click because that'll actually open up the memo. If you right click and go to edit hyperlink, we can go up here to where it says screen tip and click. And they want me to add in here Midland Rental Center Summary for 2017, a screen tip. That means when they put their pointer on it, it will come up with that tip to let them know what this is going to do. I click OK. I click OK. And now I can move to step 13. It says save the Midland MI workbook. So I'm going to go to File and Save. And then leave it open. Just in case we mess up, we've got everything saved through step 13. Step 14. So we got this one open. We're going to open additional workbooks, which is just fine. You can have as many workbooks open at the same time as you want. So leave this one open. It then says open the new UC workbook So I'm going to go to File, Open. I'm going to go to Browse and go to where my folder is that I have them all. And I'm going to open this new UC workbook. Click on it and click Open. So now I have two workbooks opened at the same time, which is perfectly fine. I'm going to go ahead and enable editing. Okay. And then save the workbook as New Urban Centers. So I'll go to File, Save As, Browse. I'm going to save it in the same folder that I've been saving all of mine, and we're going to call it New Urban Centers. And click Save. In the documentation worksheet, we're going to enter our name and date again. So in B3, enter our name. And in B4, we're going to enter today's date. Okay. Let's see. In the documentation worksheet, enter your name and the date. Now it says open the Jackson MI workbook. So I'm going to go to File, Open, Browse. This time I'm going to open up Jackson MI. Click on it, click Open. Again, now we got three workbooks open at the same time. Enable editing. Same thing for, I'm going to open up Petoskey, Michigan. File, Open, Browse. We've got multiple workbooks open at the same time now. Perfectly acceptable. Click Open. And finally, the Flint, Michigan one. So enable editing. And then I'm going to go File, Open, Browse, and open up Flint, MI. Click Open. And of course, enable my editing. Okay, that was step 14. 15. Make the New Urban Centers the active workbook. So if you come down to where all your workbooks are located, down here in your menu, if you put your pointer on the X for Excel, it will list all 5 workbooks that you currently have open. And the one that I want me to go to is the New Urban Centers workbook. Okay, make that the active workbook. Then arrange the workbooks in a tiled layout. So if I go to View, and I can go to Arrange All, click on that, and make sure the dot's next to Tiled. I can click OK, and I actually see all the workbooks on my screen at one time here. Okay? So let me read this again. Make the New Urban Centers the active workbook, and then arrange the workbooks in a tiled layout. The New Urban Centers is a full height of the screen on the left, with the remaining 4 taking the rest of the screen. In each workbook, hide the ribbon so you can see as much data in the summary worksheet as possible. All right? So I can come over to this one, right-click right up here where my ribbon is, right-click and do collapse the ribbon. Do the same thing over here. Right-click, collapse the ribbon. You get the idea. Right-click, collapse the ribbon. Right-click, collapse the ribbon. I think I'm going to leave this one open here. Okay. Hide the ribbon so you can see as much data in the summary worksheet as possible. Okay. In the summary worksheet, so actually I'm going to have to tab over. In the summary worksheet of the New Urban Centers workbook. So again, use your arrow key if you have to click on Summary Worksheet to make that the active worksheet. I'm on step 16. In the Summary Worksheet of the New Urban Centers workbook, enter external reference formulas to create a set of linked workbooks to summarize the totals for Jackson, Michigan, Petoskey, Michigan, Midland, Michigan, and Flint. All right. So here I am in quarter 1. So I want to go, before I do that, I'm going to go to the summary worksheet for all of my workbooks. So I'm going to click the arrow to get to summary for each one of these. Okay. Now, I'm going to scroll down so I can see quarter 1 and scroll over until I can see the total. I think I'm going to probably want the total. Okay. So let me do the same thing here. Scroll down and over so I can see the totals. I'm doing that on each one of my worksheets, workbooks I should say. All right, so if I want the quarter 1 for child care centers for all the locations, I'm going to click here and I'm going to do equals, because Excel always wants you to do equals to tell it you're doing a formula and or function. I'm going to click F6 on my first one here. Now if you look up here, it tells you what workbook it's coming from, what is the worksheet, and if I could see further over, it would say what cell. I do plus, I click F6 in this particular workbook, hit plus, click F6 in this one, plus, and click F6 in this one. I hit enter, and the total that I now have in quarter 1 is for each of, now see, I screwed up because I did the total and not for just quarter 1. So let's repeat that, my fault. I'm going to have to scroll back here and see just quarter 1. I realized my mistake after I did it, no big deal. Okay, the nice thing about this is if you make a mistake, you just go back and fix it. All right, so I should have been doing B6 for each of them. So let's go again. This is good because this will get you another view of it. Equals in quarter 1, B6 of my summary worksheet here. I click B6 in the first one, and it doesn't matter what order you do this in, plus B6 of this one, plus B6 of this one, plus B6 of this one. I hit enter, and now I have the total for quarter 1 for the child care centers from all 4 locations. Okay? Now, I'm going to scroll over. Actually, I'm going to, let's see what it tells me to do here, because it says format the summary worksheet so the numbers are available. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to maximize my new urban. I may not be following the instructions exactly, but I'm going to show you what to do here. I can copy this over and down if I remove the absolute references, because if I leave the absolute references, remember the dollar signs is what makes this absolute, I will get the same cell for each and every quarter and each and every row. But if I remove these dollar signs, so I'm going to click up here and remove the dollar sign in front of the B and the 6 of each one of my workbooks. This is going to save us some time here. I'm not sure the book is specifically asking me to do this, but you know what? If I can save a minute, I'm going to save a minute. So make sure you retreat, just delete the dollar signs only. Hit enter. Okay, now I can actually copy this over and I can copy this down, and I have just saved myself a world of work. Okay, because if you look at these, they changed and it's adding up the appropriate cells. I'm now linking workbooks. So if I made a change in the Flint workbook, it would actually change it in my new Urban Center workbook. Linking workbooks is also outstanding. Outstanding. I actually have companies that will pay me $50 an hour just to come in and help them link things. So they change it in one place and it changes it everywhere else. Step 7, let's see. Step 16, format the summary worksheet in the new UC Totals workbook so that the numbers are readable and the range B11 to F11 has a bottom border. So if you remember in the previous one, I'm just going to copy what they had us do here. I'm going to highlight B6 to F6. I'm going to go to the home ribbon and I'm going to do accounting with no decimal places. Do the same thing for my totals, B12 to F12. Hit the accounting, no decimal places. I'm going to select the rest of this data and do comma, no decimal places. And then one last thing is they want a bottom border, so I select B11 to F11, go up to my border and add a bottom border. That looks so much more professional when you format your numbers and add borders like that. Much more professional, which is perfect. Step 17, maximize the new urban centers and Midland MI worksheets, making sure that the ribbon is displayed. Save the new urban centers workbook, so let's save this. And leave it open. Close the other three. So we're going to close Jackson. So I'm going to come down here, click on Jackson, and close it. I'm going to close Patowski. Close it. And I'm going to close Flint. Okay. And then on this one, the Midland, I'm going to maximize it. Okay. Step 18, though, we're going to go back to the new urban centers, and we're going to work with this one. It says, in the new urban centers workbook, I'm on step number 18, break the links. Break the links. So we no longer want these links. So we're going to break the link by going to the formulas ribbon. I'm sorry, the data ribbon, my fault. Data ribbon. We're going to go to edit links on the data ribbon. And we're going to say break link. And say break links. Click close. Notice now we don't have any links to the other workbooks. They are just regular numbers. It says select a cell and notice that the formula has been replaced with a value. We're going to save this, file save as, and we're going to browse, and I'm going to save it to the same folder I've been saving everything else, and we're going to call this new space UC space audited 2018 and click save. Step 19, create headers and footers for the summary worksheet. Okay, so I'm going to go to page layout. I'm going to click the little button in the bottom right corner of page setup, and I'm going to go to header and footer. And it says display the name of the workbook and the name of the worksheet on separate lines in the right section of the header. So I have to go to custom header, and it says in the right section. So I'm going to click over here, and it says display the name of the workbook. So if I come over here and click the file name, insert file name, you got to use the buttons appropriately. I'm going to hit enter, and the name of the worksheet, this is the name of the worksheet right here, this button here, on separate lines. So I did exactly what they asked me for. Do not type the file name or the tab. You want to use the special coding that they give to you. Display your name and the date on separate lines in the right section of the footer. So I click OK, custom footer, right section. You got to type your name. There's no special buttons for your name. Hit enter, and the date. So there is a button for date, so you definitely want to click that. On separate lines in the right section of the footer, I click OK. I click OK. It tells me to save it again. Save the new UC Audited 2018 workbook, and then close it. Okay. Now I'm going to elect, it doesn't tell me to do this, but I'm going to bring my ribbon back, and you can do that by clicking on any one of the ribbons, right click, and uncheck collapse the ribbon. Okay, step 20. Use the Midland, Michigan workbook to create an Excel template with the file name Midland, Michigan template in the location by your instructor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File, Save As, Browse. Again, I'm going to go to the same folder and I'm going to call this one Midland MI template. But here is something extremely important. Save as type. We have to save it as a Microsoft Excel template. Excel templates right there. Okay, it gives it a special extension of XLTX. What that means is that this will be considered like a read-only file where a template can only be revised. Then you will have to give it a new name so that the template is available for everybody to use and it looks exactly the same for everybody. So I'm going to click. Now notice it changed my folder up there when I chose template. So I'm going to go back and save it to my folder. Pay special attention to that. Okay. And save it. Okay. A template means that you want to get rid of all the data but not the formulas. All right. And actually that's the way it is. Okay. So we're fine there. Okay. Use to create an Excel template. Okay. Step 21, create a new workbook based on the Midland template file and then save the workbook as Midland 28. Actually, what I want to do is, since this is a template, I'm going to delete all of the data. I'm surprised they don't tell me that in the instructions. So I'm going to go to quarter 1 and I'm going to delete all the data in the range. Don't delete the formulas. Just B6 to D11, delete. Same thing for quarter 2, delete, quarter 3, delete, and quarter 4, delete. Okay, go back to the summary. And all of these have little dashes because the formulas are still there, which is exactly what you want. We're not going to delete any of the formulas. Okay? So let me read this now. It says, create a new workbook based on the Midland template file and then save the workbook as Midland MI 2018. So let's do another save as. File, save as, browse. And this one we're just going to go to call it Midland. A lot of saving here. Midland MI 2018. Again, I'm going to save it in my folder, which it is. And this time I'm going to save it as an Excel workbook. It's no longer going to be a template. Okay, click Save. And then it says, step 22, in the summary worksheet, enter 2018 as the fiscal year in A3. So we'll come up here and change this to 2018. The center name should be Midland in all worksheets, which it is. Okay, we're okay there. In the quarter 1 worksheet, enter 500 in each cell in the range B6 to D11. B6 to D11. So we're going to type 500. Now I'm going to copy that over to D and then down to D11. Because I'm not going to type 500 that many times. And then it's going to have me go to quarter 2, and I'm going to type 1,000. Again, in each one of these cells. So again, I'm going to use my fill handles to cut corners. Okay. And if I go to the summary worksheet, it shows me, oops, I must not have, yeah, I just got it for quarter 1 and quarter 2. Scared me there for a minute. Okay, I'm going to save this. And I'm going to close it, and that wraps up this video for Module 6, Managing Multiple Worksheets and Workbooks, also referred to as Workbook and Worksheet Linking. Thank you and have a great day.